Welcome to our English program podcast, Kaleidoscope. As you are already aware of our ongoing storytelling series, Resilient Hearts on Kaleidoscope, today we have some adventure, some natural experiences, and some lessons laden in fantasy brought to you by our wonderful stories. Oh, yeah, I won't take any more time. After all, adventure awaits you. So, here's presenting the first story of today's episode by Miss Aarya Deshpande, an undergraduate student specializing in advertising and public relations at Vishwakarma University, sharing her story titled A Gift to Remember.
A gift to remember. Ravi adjusted the straps of his backpack and glanced over his son Arav to check on him. It had become a yearly ritual for the father-son duo to go on a camping trip, hiking through the hills of the Western Ghats during the monsoons. Ravi carefully led the way for his son, guiding him through the thick foliage. The young boy's eyes sparkled as he looked around at the towering trees and listened to the sound of chirping birds. Arav, look at this tree trunk here, Ravi said. You know you can calculate the age of this tree by counting these rings on it? Arav, who had started counting the growth rings by this point, exclaimed, Wow! It means this tree is older than Grandma? Older than your great-grandma, Ravi said, laughing at his son's amusement. When Arav's excitement had pacified a bit, he turned to his father to ask, Dad, how do you know so much about these trees, birds, and leaves? Ravi chuckled. When I was your age, I had a friend who introduced me to the wonders of nature. Arav looked up, intrigued. A friend? Who was he? Ravi took a deep breath as they stopped near a stream. His mind drifted back to the summer of the 1980s. Before introducing who he was, I need to tell you a story, he said, with nostalgia. When I was around your age, my grandfather moved back to our native village Jharkhand after his retirement. Every summer vacation, I would visit him. And oh, what a beautiful village it was! Surrounded by the majestic mountains of Sahyadri, traditional huts, clean air, hidden streams, and vast open fields. It felt like a place that fell straight out of a storybook. I quickly made friends with the village kids. They were fascinated by the things I brought from the city. My jeans, my glasses, and especially my cricket bat. We would play for hours on the panchayat ground, and my bat was always in high demand. It was during one of our matches that I first noticed Shyam. He was standing alone underneath the big mango tree at the corner of the panchayat ground. He was a skinny boy, his collarbones sticking out from his thin and frail figure. He looked distinctively different because of the vitiligo marks on his skin. But what stood out the most for me were his bright, curious eyes. He never joined our games and quietly watched from behind the mango tree. He never asked to play, and none of my friends ever invited him. He would climb on the mango tree, play with his marbles, or just be a silent spectator of the game. But he always seemed to be happy and content with his company alone. One day, during one of our intense matches, I hit a massive six. As the ball soared over the field, Shyam caught it midair, dashing out from behind the tree. The game halted as we all stared in shock. Since he wasn't playing, the six counted and my team won. But I was more impressed by the way he had caught that ball. I started walking toward him, but one of my friends grabbed my arm. We don't talk to him, he whispered. Our parents don't allow it. Don't you see the patches on his skin? I was puzzled, but got swept up in the celebration of our victory. After going home, when I asked my grandfather about it, he said it was because of lack of knowledge and social stigma prevalent in the village. I was too young to understand these things back then, so I couldn't do much. The summer ended and I had to return to Mumbai. The following year, when I came back, the Sarpanch had banned kids from playing anywhere around the village. The reason being that a cricket ball had accidentally hit him and he decided the ban to be their punishment. Everyone was forced to stay indoors and I had begun to feel bored day by day. One afternoon, restless and eager for fresh air, I wandered outside. Without realizing it, my feet led me to the old mango tree on the panchayat ground. As I stood there, I sensed someone nearby. "Who's there?" I called out. A startled Sham stepped out from behind the tree. "You!" I said, recognizing him instantly. "You're the boy who caught that amazing shot last year, right?" He nodded hesitantly. "I am Ravi," I said. "I am Sham," he introduced himself shyly. I noticed he was playing with marbles, rolling them expertly between his fingers. Fascinated, I asked him to teach me. He hesitated at first, but soon showed me the game. After several failed attempts, I finally managed a decent shot and we both burst into laughter. Then Sham's face lit up with excitement as he asked me softly, "Do you want to see something amazing?" Curious, I agreed. He led me through narrow trails, past thick bushes and tangled vines. Oh, how much did I struggle making my way through the dense foliage back then. The dried leaves scraped against my skin. The humidity in the air simply added to my troubles. After a while, I grew impatient. "Where are we going, Sham?" I asked. "Shh," he whispered. "Just listen." I fell silent, and soon I heard the distant sound of rushing water. We walked a little further, and suddenly Sham pulled back a curtain of leaves, revealing the most breathtaking sight I had ever seen. Before us was a waterfall falling into a crystal clear stream, surrounded by thick greenery. The sunlight danced on the water, and a natural swing made of entangled tree vines swayed gently in the breeze. I stood there, completely awestruck. Sham beamed. "Isn't it beautiful?" Without another word, we took off our shirts and jumped into the cool water. We splashed around, laughed, and floated under the shade of the towering trees. It was the most heavenly feeling. The sun began to set, and we decided to go back home. As we walked back, I accidentally stepped on a thorn. I cried in pain, but Sham, he knew exactly what to do. He quickly plucked some leaves from a nearby plant, crushed them, and rubbed them on my wound. Almost instantly, and miraculously, the pain subsided. He smiled and said to me, "Nature has a cure for everything." That moment changed me. Sham introduced me to the wonders of nature. Every day we would wander through the wild. He showed me the lively anthills, the trees that grew at night, the way different scents filled the forest. We climbed hilltops to watch the sunrise, and in those moments, I truly understood the beauty of our world. At the end of the summer, I had to leave. As a parting gift, I gave Sham my cricket bat and some books. He hesitated, then took them shyly. "I have nothing to give you in return," he said softly. I smiled. "You have already given me the greatest gift, Sham." That was the last time I saw him. I never returned to Jharkhand. My grandfather passed away and our house was sold. Life moved on, but my love for the nature only grew stronger. Every time I hike through the wilderness, every time I find peace in nature's embrace, I remember my friend and I silently thank him. Ravi's voice trailed off as he looked at his son Aarya, who was hanging on to every word he said. "So, Sham taught you everything?" Aarya asked. "Yes," Ravi nodded. Whenever I felt low or lost, I would come running to the nature to experience its tranquility. The sound of the birds, rustling leaves and splashing water calmed my nerves. The fragrance of the wet soil rejuvenated me, and the towering trees inspired me to grow higher. Shyam not only taught me everything, but he gave me a gift to remember. Now, I am sharing this gift with you, my son. Arav smiled and took his father's hand affectionately. They continued their hike, with the serene natural surroundings guiding their way, just as they had guided Ravi throughout several years of his life. Thank you. This is a gift to remember.
So I'm sure that the explanation of these natural experiences must have made you feel calm and relaxed. Embrace yourselves, as now we start a journey of adventure and magic. The next story for today is brought to you by Mr. Aditya Sarode, specializing in advertisement and public relations. So here we have The Glowing Backpack.
John, a lively, however impulsive boy who is always interested in adventure, had an attic filled with forgotten things. It had dusty puzzles with missing pieces, faded baseball trophies, and a leather backpack. One gloomy afternoon, feeling bored, he decided to explore the attic. He pulled out the backpack and noticed that it felt strangely warm, as if it was holding some secrets. Hugging the backpack, he said, "Take me somewhere amazing." Suddenly, the backpack opened with a powerful wind and John disappeared. He found himself lying on burning hot sand. It was a desert, which stretched far and wide, having dunes that appeared like gold. Next to him stood a nomad named Zara. Looking at a skeletal date palm, she said, "This tree used to nourish my village." She further handed him a cheap clay pot saying, "Water it at dawn and dusk. If you miss even once, it will die." John felt overwhelmed. He could not understand how he would carry water from distant springs under the scorching sun. His shoulders started to ache. His lips began cracking, but he continued watering the tree. By the third day, he had blisters on his palms. One morning, completely drained of energy, he chose to stay in his tent. That very day, he did not water the tree. By noon, the leaves of the tree started to curl and it felt like they would fall off. Seeing this, John began sulking. Finding him in this situation, Zara began to scold John, saying that discipline isn't punishment, it is a way of showing love for something by taking care of it, even when every part of you wants to give up. Embarrassed by her words, John decided to go back and fulfill his responsibilities. Days turned into weeks, and by now, John had established a routine, waking up early before sunrise and repeating Zara's mantra, "Patience grows deep," while pouring water into the drying palm tree. Then one morning he was pleasantly surprised to find the tree bending because of the weight of golden amber dates that hung from its branches. The sweetness of the dates burst in his mouth as he tasted those for the first time. Zara handed him the clay pot which had mysteriously refilled itself and said, "An extraordinary outcome can arise from a simple act of kindness done on a routine basis." John's backpack began glowing again, indicating it was time for him to leave. Hugging the backpack in another whirlwind, John appeared by the side of a river, having muddy waters. Then a girl named Neha yanked him into a shack which had murals of jungles, galaxies, and fields of sunflowers. She told John that I paint to remember that there is still beauty somewhere in the world. She showed him her paintbrushes and paint. John traded dates from the clay pot for paints, and together they started to paint canvases. Outside the shack, rain began to pour endlessly. Fearing the heavy rains, John frowned, upon which Neha replied, "It is the beauty of nature because water grows life so that we can survive." She showed him mint sprouting in a cracked gutter. Kids from the nearby slum also came to accompany them in painting. One strange night, a storm flooded the shack, and all the murals turned into soggy ruins. John's heart sank. But Neha held him strong and said, "Gratitude isn't just saying thanks, but it's seeing the gifts hidden in what you already have." Listening to this, John took out his golden amber dates and shared it with Neha. Thanking him for the sweet dates, Neha said, "Let's replant the seed." Both of them planted the seed in a cracked rice bag. A sapling peeked through with its leaves shining bright. John cheered and felt the warmth, which was a result of unexpected rains. By now, John had started loving painting the murals, and he began to explore natural shades that could be created from the plants and trees growing by the riverside. His backpack started to glow again. Hugging the backpack, John took all his brushes, and this time he was magically hurled into the mountainous ranges. In front of him was a family living in a shabby house. The youngest daughter, Asta. She said to him, due to rough winds and heavy snow, "Our beautiful house has turned into a dirty-looking place. Can you help me plan a makeover?" At this, John replied, "No tools, no way to replenish your place." Weeping after hearing his response, she said, "But it was the mountains that tested us, making this beautiful hut turn into a leaking shack. Now we have nothing but bare minimum to manage our lifestyle." At this, John replied, "Adaptability is about letting old lessons find new life." Upon uttering this sentence, he immediately realized of the paintbrushes and the natural paint-making skills that he had acquired from Neha. To this he smiled and said, "I will rebuild and recreate your place." He started painting the walls and utilized every stick and stone to turn over this shabby-looking place into an amazing palace. Asta could not contain her excitement and asked John, "How did you do this?" John knelt down with paint all over his clothes and said, "Discipline keeps me going, and gratitude helps me receive various gifts. I have been granted these gifts because of paying attention and continually striving to learn, no matter who my mentors are. I continue to listen and learn." The backpack was glowing again, and John bid farewell to Asta while touching the backpack. This time he had returned home, surrounded by the adventurous things in his attic. He now also knows that each experience brings more to life, and these learnings, if followed diligently, will make anyone a better human. Thank you.
So, adventures and nature combined together can bring you fruits of wisdom and lessons in well-being. Hoping that you continue your travels and keep learning newer hobbies. As we sign off, we are excited to share that our upcoming 4 stories and 2 episodes of Resilient Hearts would unlock some lessons in teamwork and confidence for you. Meanwhile, stay tuned for the next program.